Hey everybody, this is Randall from Floribama Homesteader and my wife, the camera lady, Michelle. Today what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to propagate grapevines so that you can expand your orchard. Alright, so what we're going to do today is we got several different ways that you can propagate grapevines, and we're going to show you all the ways that we do it. Now we got this grapevine here, and what we want to do is on this one, this is a bronze muscadine grape. We're going to propagate this one via air layer. So I'm going to demonstrate the air layer first, and we're also going to show you some different ways that we propagate grapes. So if you find a little a grapevine, a nice clean spot, you can pull the leaves off so that you have a cleaner area to work with. Just take your blade and score around right where you want your roots to start. And then right above that, score again. And once you've got it scored, just take your knife and try to scrape away most of that bark that you can. Now girdling the grapevine is going to cause stress on this, and it's going to think that it's been separated from the mother plant, and it's going to start setting roots just above this area right here. So now that we've got that scored, we've stressed that out, we're going to reach over here and grab our rooting hormone. You can get it at your local Walmart or big box store. And I got this one I think at Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. And I'm about out of it. I'm going to have to go get some more. But we just rub some of that rooting hormone on there, or you can sprinkle it on since your vine is attached. Now I'm showing you air layer on a grapevine, but you can use this technique on most any type of a fruiting plant.
Can you show the bottle?
Yep, there's a picture of the bottle. Now we got that rooting hormone on there. I'm going to take this cup that I had, and then the only reason I chose Dixie cup or Daisy is because it's what we had around the house. And we're just going to wrap this around this this vine right here. Well, we've cut this cup right down the center with a little star shape in the bottom, just like you would poke a straw through. And that way that vine will sit around that. We'll go right through there. Now,
Which one put tape on it?
yep, we'll put some tape on it. Seal it up. Got my pre-staged tape over here. I'll put tape right over it. Put it back the way it was.
The way it was.
Alright, so now we got that all taped up. We're going to grab our medium that we're going to use. Now, some people will use peat. Some people will use potting soil, and I had some of this pine bark and sand mixture that I used for a potting soil. I had a whole bunch of it over there, so that's what I'm going to use today. Now I've moistened this, and we're just going to fill the cup up with it. All right, so we got that in the cup. Make sure that leaf gets out of there. And we're going to put a lid on this.
And you cut the lid too.
Yep, cut the lid too, just so it slides around there.
Scored it in the middle.
Yep. And then put a little piece of tape across the lid so that it holds. Now, we're going to give this about 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks, there should be roots developing here. Now, whenever we come back and we're going to pop this lid up and just take a look and see if we got roots in there. And if we do, we should. We'll just come back with the snips, snip that off, bam, you've got a grapevine. Now, one of the things that you can also do is just come right above it here where you have all this extra vine And let's propagate some of this. I'm going to leave a little bit on there. Well, let's just come right up in here. We're just going to cut here. We're going to take this with us, and I'm going to show you some different ways that we use to propagate grapevines. So we're going to pause right here, and we're going to move on to the next thing. Okay, so moving on to the next way that we're going to propagate grapevines. See, we got this grapevine that is extended all the way down just from this year's growth. Nice long grapevine. You can see how it's dragging the ground. Well, another way that you can propagate grapevines is you just come along right underneath where that thing is scraping the ground. We just pop a little bit of dirt open, move the dirt over. We take this grapevine, we lay it right along in the dirt. And we're going to strip some of those leaves back, give it a little stress. Lay it down in the hole. We're just going to cover it up. Now, again, 6 to 8 weeks, we come back, we snip that off, we can dig that out, and we have a brand new grapevine. So that is another way that we can use to propagate grapes. All right, so we're going to pause here, and we're going to move on to the next thing. Okay, now we're over here at our mist propagation bed, and you can see right now it's misting all of our mulberries and our fig cuttings that we have in here. In case you haven't seen our previous video that we did on our propagation bed, you can also come over here with this grapevine that we just cut off from down there. Leave a node right where a leaf was. Also, where the leaves come out is also the propensity for roots to come out. So we're going to leave 1, 2 nodes. We're going to leave this node for a new growth leaf. We're going to take our cutting right here, open up our rooting hormone, give it a little bit of rooting hormone dust. We're just going to pop it right in here in this mist bed, all the way down, both nodes. Cover those up. We'll leave 1 node sitting up, and we should see new growth coming here in about a couple of weeks. Now it'll take a couple of weeks. You'll see some growth coming on, but that doesn't mean that it has roots on it automatically. You want to give it the full 6 to 8 weeks for grapes, and then come back and check to see if your roots are formed. You may have leaves, you may have growth, but you really want to give these plants time to grow out roots and set roots. Now I also want to say right here that if you're finding any of this information valuable, we ask that you hit the subscribe button, bell's notification, and follow along as we bring these projects to you. We're going to pause right here. We're going to move on to our next method that we use to propagate grapevines. All right, so for our final way that I want to show you today, there's a little bit of history behind this method. This is a method that my grandmother showed my mother, and my mother, she did this to propagate different flowers throughout her yard. And most everybody that lives in the South can do this. If you don't have a mist propagation bed, you can do this type of method. This is along the same lines as a mist bed. What we're going to do is we're going to come out to our air conditioning unit that you see right here. Now, if you live in the South, most people have an air conditioning unit. Right behind the air conditioning unit, you generally have a drain pipe where condensation comes out from your inside unit. This area stays wet all summer long. Now, a couple of years ago, I came out here, I think it was 2 years ago. I wanted to propagate some Concord grapes, and I wanted to propagate some of the wine grapes that we have. So I had these long cuttings or long limbs that were hanging down, and I cut them, and I said, well, let me give it a shot and just to see how this old method works. And I came back here and I cut me 2 nodes at the bottom, leave the 3rd node, and you can leave 1 leaf, and that's fine. If you have any plant that you want to propagate that has a huge leaf on it, those leaves will give off moisture. They will suck moisture out of the stem. A little bit of moisture is beneficial. Too much moisture, you're going to lose. A little leaf like that, that's ideal. You wouldn't want to leaf any bigger than that. If it's any bigger than that, you can come along and just cut that leaf right in half to the size that you really want it to be at, and just get rid of it. Well, we're going to take this, do our rooting hormone, And not directly under this pipe where the water stands, but just off to the side, we have sandy soil. Look at that sandy soil. That doesn't hold water, but it maintains constant moisture. The last time I did this, I came out with my Concord and I stuck them in here and I forgot them. And 2 years later, I come back and there's grapevines back here where those things took root and started growing. So I dug it up, I potted it up, and I give it to a friend. So what you see here is you just want to pop open a sandy spot, and you can take these, set them right down in there. I'm going to take another cutting, leave 2 nodes, take the third. Now we're starting to get into this soft wood. You don't really want to propagate this soft green wood. Sometimes they start to fail when you get that young tender growth. But this fresh 1 year growth propagates very well. Get some rooting hormone on there. And you could put these grapevines as close as 1 inch apart. And those things will start setting root, and you can come back in 6 to 8 weeks. And just take your little trowel shovel, pop them up, check on them and see if you've got roots. If they're growing and they're putting on good growth 8 weeks down the road, you know that those roots have taken. You have a high success rate with this method. And not a lot of people know about this. And I don't see anybody talking about this on any of the YouTubes or any of the groups or anything like that. So this is just a best kept secret that nobody does, nobody talks about. People want to go out and they want to spend money on these mist propagation systems, or they want to try this cup and a potting soil method that everybody's doing, you know, for propagating. But this is one of the basic ways. This is easy. Now this is also on the north side of our house, so this is always maintained in the shade. And you don't, when you're doing cuttings, you don't want cuttings out in the sun, because that'll damage them. You want them to be able to nurse through that 6 to 8 week period without the stress of the sun. So that's why we're doing this here. Now, if yours is on the south side of the house where it's always in the sun, your success rate is going to go down. You might not have as good a luck. Another thing, if you don't have an outside unit and you just have a window unit that hangs out of your window to the side of the wall, you generally have a drip point where water will drip down. Put you some sand under there, pull back some topsoil, something that you can work with, and try your cuttings in that. That should work just as well. We're going to put these in here today. We're going to leave them, and in a couple of weeks we should have some roots, and we should have some more grapevines. If you find any of this information valuable, we encourage you to hit the subscribe button with the bells notification so that we can keep bringing this content to you. So thanks for watching.